Alright, so today we're going to have another episode of Dumb Guys Talk, and we're actually going to review the book Aftermath, which picks up after Return of the Jedi, and it's a new Star Wars book, so we thought you guys might be interested to hear what we thought.
Welcome to Dumb Guys Talk About Smart Stuff. That's right, yeah. There are going to be spoilers in this episode. However, not everything's going to be a spoiler. We're going to touch on a few things here. We're going to touch on a few things there. So if you look down in the comments, or if you check out some of the annotations we're going to put in, you can skip to those non-spoiler parts. But let's just dive right in.
Yeah, so this book, you could tell it's not immediately after. It's not like it doesn't pick up at the party of Jedi. So it's a little bit of time passes. I'm not sure if I was real clear about how much time passed from Jedi.
Not a lot. I didn't feel like a lot of time passed at all because most of the characters are having like these little mini flashbacks of the Battle of Endor. So I feel like if it's not exactly directly after Jedi, it's like maybe less than a year.
Yeah, I think that they're talking about how the Republic has had a little bit of time to kind of start working on forming their government and pick a new leader.
Yeah, the New Republic now, so the rebels are now the New Republic, and the Empire is kind of in shambles here. And this is all leading up to, obviously, The Force Awakens. They're setting it up.
Yeah.
And I think when I was reading this, or my intentions in getting this were, I guess I wanted a little bit more than what they were giving me.
Yeah, so if you're looking for a story that's just the main characters, you're just going to get tastes of that in here. It introduces new characters in this one, and spends most of the time with those new characters.
You know, my opinion of this book, my feeling that I got when I was reading this book, that it was A New Hope all over again. It was, a group of ragtag, people up against a fight that's bigger than them, and, they all come out clean.
Yeah.
Basically.
Yeah, and I got the impression, say, like, as far as, like, the quality of the story, I got the impression of, say, like, those hour-long TV dramas, to where kind of, like, halfway through to about three-quarters of the way through, it's kind of slow and dull. And then at the end, they have just enough of a cliffhanger to kind of go, well, there's some action, maybe I'll get the next book, type of thing. But there's a point definitely like halfway through to about three-quarters, like I said, where I was kind of going, man, I don't think that I like this book.
I was a little bored, to be honest. Up until a certain point where I was like, okay, well, I got to see what happens, and I kept hoping, I kept dangling hints in front of your face that made you think, oh, what are they going to reveal here? What are they going to do?
Yeah.
So I got a question for you.
Yeah.
Who was your favorite character in the book?
I would say none of the new ones. Just the old ones. Say, like, it brings back, and here's where spoilers probably begin, is it brings back Wedge. It has...
Wedge was very limited, though.
He was limited.
He didn't have a lot going on with him. There was not a lot of character there.
In the few chapters, you thought it was going to be Wedge's book.
Right, yeah.
But then it kind of just, he goes away.
Yep.
And here's a spoiler too. Here, it had a chapter with Han Solo and Chewie, which was just kind of like a break from the main story, and it was just like a very short thing, kind of places him where he's at, and
they did several of those interludes where they kind of shifted gears a little bit to give you a scene elsewhere that really had nothing to do with the main story of this book.
Yeah, and those interludes to me actually got kind of annoying. There's a couple that were good, say like the Han one I thought was good. There's one where two bounty hunters are fighting, and one of them just says Boba Fett.
Yeah.
And you kind of
shouts it out.
Yeah, shouts it out. I read it twice, and that's all it is. He just shouts it out.
It's almost like one of those YouTube channels that does clickbait.
Yeah,
where they throw something out there, Yeah,
when I saw Boba Fett, I'm like, what? Where'd this come from?
Yeah.
And I went back and read that part again, and it was just a random thing saying his name.
Right, so I was listening to it on the audio book, and I heard him say Boba Fett, and I was like, what? Wait, Boba Fett's here?
Yeah.
This is after Jedi, what's going on?
Yeah.
And then I realized, no, it was just it was a red herring, basically.
Yeah, basically just... So
you didn't like any of the new characters at all?
I did think, say for example, the Bones robot was entertaining.
I liked the Bones robot. So,
which I think like all the prequels probably wish that they wrote the droids.
The droids is good. Yeah. So for everybody, again, these are spoilers, but the Bones the droid is the B1 battle droid, just like from the prequels.
Yeah, I think it's those ones that said like Roger, Roger.
Yeah, Roger, Roger.
And I think he did say that a couple times. times.
He did, yeah. Now in the audiobook, they gave him a really interesting kind of voice. I don't know how you read it, but in listening to the voice they gave it, he was kind of like a little manic and kind of crazy, and like his voice fluctuated a lot. He didn't sound like those droids from the prequels.
Well, it's something I got is that the Old Republic video game had a droid that was a very good character, and is the same thing, kind of a malfunctioning assassin droid type of thing that had like that he kind of acted like he enjoyed killing type of thing. So I thought it was kind of probably a little play on that same character.
Interesting.
There's a story of like a mother who was like supposedly a Y-wing pilot during the Battle of Endor, and her kind of son that they'd been separated for a while, kind of storyline.
Right. And so they tease you there because they tie it into, like, everybody knows who Luke Skywalker is. Everyone knows who Han Solo is. You know, Lando Calrissian. They throw out these names. And so I think in one of her flashbacks, she's flying with the Millennium Falcon into the Death Star.
Yeah.
So those are the kind of little teasers that they give you that kind of keep you latched onto it. But, you know, all in all, kind of just building these characters
Yeah, it's
up.
kind of similar to, say, like when you play softball with a guy that said he played college ball with George Brett, which I've had happen. It's like George Brett isn't here, but you got that little mention of the name. Type of
Dropping names.
Dropping the name.
Yeah.
And that's kind of what it is. If you're just expecting like the main, 4 or 5 characters from the original trilogy, it's not.
Yeah.
You get tastes.
You get a little taste of each one of them, but not very much at all. They're all mentioned, but you don't get to spend a lot of time with them. Or in most cases, you don't spend any time with them, except for the case of Han and Chewie.
And so one thing I kept my eye out for was extended universe things that this book would make canon. And one thing it didn't mention is one of the Empire's officers. I'm not sure exactly what it was, but he mentioned going out beyond like the Outer Rim to go where the Sith came from, which kind of makes some Old Republic extended universe things canon with that point, because supposedly they did come from the Outer Rim and they fought the Jedi, and then they got kind of pushed back out there. Yeah. That's supposedly where they originated from. So it made that part canon.
You brought something interesting up to me that I didn't pick up while I was reading it. I didn't think of it at all. But in one of those little interlude type parts, there was a rebel character helping out a little kid character. So tell me a little bit about what you've heard about that part.
So I just read some other book reviews that said that they thought that might have been Luke Skywalker. And if it is, it's very cryptic, and reading through it myself, I didn't pick that up.
Yeah.
I think partially because at that point the interludes were becoming kind of annoying, and so I was reading through them very quickly when I could.
Yeah. I mean, there's nothing about that scene really stood out to me very much. It was kind of like it happened and it went away, and I mean, really what they're doing, I thought, was just they're building up what the New Republic is. They, obviously the New Republic is having this real bright light shined on them as the good guys, and the Empire is bad. And it's just showing rebels being good to these kids, even though they were on their way to the empirical training or whatever you call it.
Yeah, and there's an interesting conversation where, and I can't remember what characters had it, but it's like an older man was having a conversation where he kind of said, like the Old Republic became the Empire, now they're the New Republic again. It's just going to keep cycling in and out.
Right.
And so I think you kind of have to, with a story like that, humanize the New Republic and make it feel like, oh, the good guys actually won, rather than just like towards like some conspiracy theorists take stories like this and say, well, the New Republic's actually the bad guys because they kind of caused a bunch of chaos by starting this war.
Well, interesting too is that's almost a foreshadowing of what we might see in The Force Awakens, where you had the Old Republic, and then that was taken over by the Empire, and then that was taken over by the New Republic. And then, what are we going to see in The Force Awakens? Is it going to be another rise of like an Empire type of, group?
Yeah, and so out of these characters, which ones do you think we'll see in Episode 7, if any?
I don't think any of them will show up in Episode 7, and if they do, it's going to be in a passing, very,
Maybe just a nod to people that read the book.
Perhaps, yeah. I don't think it's going to be very much at all.
I don't think so. Partially the time period, we're still 30 years before.
Yeah, it's about 30 years away. Yeah.
So the only character we're hearing about that might be the right age is like the Max von Sydow character. And who knows, maybe. But I think like the kid in the book might be. Let me think about No, he'd probably be too young to be Max von Sydow.
Yeah, he would be much too young because I think he's like 14 in the book.
Yeah, and I think there's a former Imperial officer in the book that could possibly be.
Could be.
But that's just age-wise. I don't know character-wise if he will or not.
Well, and I hope not too, because his character was, I mean, although he had a redemption, he's an Empire, Imperial general or whatever he was.
Yeah, well, he seemed like he was Imperial. He was at the Battle of Endor, and then he kind of walked away from the Empire.
Yeah, he walked. Yeah.
So,
well, because he realized the Empire lost and he walked away. He's got.
He just seemed like he was a guy that was on the winning side. He didn't seem to have convictions.
Well, he was a loyalty officer, so he basically punished anybody who was not loyal to the Empire. And so for someone like that to change sides, he's basically, I don't know. He just didn't seem like there was really a redemption available for him. He'd done so many terrible things. It was kind of like if you were a Nazi and you murdered a bunch of Jews, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, Germany is losing, I better switch. And then, it's like, where's the redemption? There's not much redemption for that guy.
No, not really. So, deep spoilers here. So, when I saw some reviews of the books, we started reading it, it said there's this big reveal at the end. And I got to the end of the book, and I was like, that's it.
You thought more of a reveal than I did. For one, I didn't even know there was a big reveal.
Well, the only reason I thought of it was that I heard that there's a big reveal, and when I got to it, I'm like, well, I don't think I would have seen it if I hadn't read that first.
Yeah, so when it was leading up to the end, like before we got to the end with the character who you're referring to, there was a line that said, this was between two Imperials, where one said, there's another, and they said, he's alive?
Yeah.
And I immediately was thinking, Emperor or Vader.
Yeah, and so basically, and this is for people who have either read the book or don't want to read the book.
Yeah.
Basically, at the end, there's this. So they're having a meeting of Imperial officers. At the end of the meeting, it's kind of revealed that there's another Imperial officer that wasn't at the meeting that's kind of pulling the strings.
Yeah. That actually knew that was going to be, that meeting was going to be foiled, and there was going to be a challenge for them, and it kind of weeded out all the other Imperial officers.
So it's basically his viewpoint is the people that survived this battle he kind of set up were strong enough to stay. And the only descriptive word of this guy is they just say he.
Yeah. That's
it. They don't describe human, they don't describe tall, they don't describe sound of voice, look, anything.
So do you think he was the basically the spy that was giving the rebels the word telling them to go?
Yeah, it could have been
early on talking to Akbar.
Yeah, which would be an interesting thing, because I remember that now. It would be an interesting thing if they did it again of an Imperial playing both sides, like because it does kind of the prequel movies of the Emperor playing both sides. So it would be interesting if they did that again, but that's kind of the Star Wars universe, just to repeat things.
Yeah.
2 Death Stars, and almost every book kind of follows the Luke Skywalker arc.
Yeah. Well, there was definitely a feeling of the original trilogy there. Like, yeah, definitely there.
Yeah, and so there's you could speculate.
I thought
who this new guy is.
I thought that character was very Sith-like though, in just the way he talked. And he was talking to that other Imperial general, and treating her almost like she was an apprentice to him. It was kind of Sith-like.
Yeah, and so if it's Sith-like, are you thinking a past character is still alive? Which I guess they kind of say that, or is it like because it had some admirals I remember in the first 3, but I think they pretty much all died, right?
Yeah.
Because like Vader choked a couple out, and then the one was on that Super Star Destroyer that crashed into the Death Star at the end. So I don't know if there's really any that I can remember, like admirals that were shown in the original that lived.
I don't know either, but they definitely they know of this character, and they obviously believe this character to be powerful. So I don't know what it is, but
and so some people are speculating they're bringing back Thrawn, like from the extended universe books, which would mean he's not Sith. He's just a kind of a general type character.
Yeah, I'm not familiar with that.
I'm not that familiar with him. It was why I think I read one of the books a long time ago. But he's just kind of a guy that competed with Vader to be the Emperor's right-hand man. And then
which kind of feels like they told that story kind of over again in the oh shoot, what's that general's name from Star Wars, from A New Hope? Tarkin.
Tarkin.
Yeah, Tarkin.
Yeah.
So they did the Tarkin book, and I've not read that book, but I heard that it's kind of the same lines. It's like the two of them are kind of struggling to be the right hand man of the Emperor.
Yeah, yeah, and so that's another guy's dead, Tarkin. So it seems like
Tarkin's
all
dead,
those like the others like Empire guys died in the original choice. There's got to be somebody out there. If he's Sith, how would he would have coexisted with the Emperor and Vader?
Well, I mean, really, it comes down to the rise and fall of these Sith, right? Even though there was Darth Sidious. Let's go back to the prequels. There's Darth Sidious and there's Darth Maul, right? There's two Sith, right? The Master and the Apprentice. Well, Anakin is still there. He still exists. He just hasn't turned and he hasn't grown. Yeah. So maybe he was waiting in the shadows, waiting for the Emperor to crumble. Maybe he knew.
Yeah.
I've heard theories that there was always a third, someone else behind the scenes pulling Palpatine's strings.
which I think that'd be an awesome storyline if there's another Sith Master even more powerful than Palpatine.
Right.
Hidden. But so this admiral kind of mentions reforming the Empire, which a lot of people, I'm thinking, is pointing to the direction of the First Order, which we see.
Right, exactly.
So it might be this guy is beginning the process of turning them into the First Order.
Yeah. And who knows, maybe he will be a character that returns, we didn't get to know him very much in this book, but perhaps he'll be the guy up on the stage overseeing all those stormtroopers that we see in the trailer.
Could be Andy Serkis's character.
Could be Andy Serkis's
his
character as well.
Cool.
Yeah. Although I think he's going to be very alien. So.
But they didn't describe this guy very much. So they
could have been.
Didn't describe what he looked like really.
Yeah.
So anyway, let's maybe get away from spoilers now for the people that skipped the part.
Okay.
For as far as a rating on this book, how much would you recommend people go spend their time to read this?
Well, it depends on how deep into the Star Wars universe you want to get. This is canon now, so it's real Star Wars. It is what it is. I prefer the Rebels cartoon, but over this.
Okay.
Those characters, the one thing that I knock on this is there's no Jedi.
Yeah.
And I'm really, that's like the essence of Star Wars to me, is the Jedi, and there's nobody in this that has any kind of force powers, anything like that. So it was really limited in that sense. So on a scale of say 1 to 5, I would probably give this one a 2.5.
Yeah, I'm there with you, and that's kind of something that I didn't even think about when I was reading it, but I think that might have been what I was missing, was Jedi and Sith. And he might have been kind of limited where he's at, because basically it's just Luke and the Emperor and Vader just died.
Yeah.
Or presumed dead.
Presumed dead.
Yes.
Right. Because there are some spoilers, some interludes that.
Well, actually, like that spoiler that's right at the beginning of the book.
Oh yeah.
It's right up on Amazon as the description of the book.
Oh, okay.
So I think pretty much anybody going to buy the book is going to see that little paragraph at the beginning of the book that says "presumed dead."
Right. That says a lot.
Yeah.
I mean.
But yeah, so just to kind of give the author some fairness, he's given a period of time, probably didn't have much to work with.
I think he was probably given a period of time. He was giving a structure. He probably had to follow very closely with a storyline that was given to him. All he did was fill in the words.
Yeah.
I mean, that's my interpretation. I don't know how it really worked, but
yeah. And see, I myself might have appreciated if it was kind of more of a time frame of like, we see a Luke's apprentice, or we see another Sith Lord, or something like that rising up, to have some of that stuff going on.
Yeah. I really wanted to see something that led a little bit more into what's going to happen in The Force Awakens. Give us some characters, give us some insight into that. Don't spoil Force Awakens, but, make it a little bit more, about that.
So do you think you're going to read the next one?
I might. I don't know.
I'm almost feeling.
Well, I didn't read the first one. I might listen to the next one.
I'm kind of at a point where I don't know if I want to put that much time into reading it. I might read a Cliff Notes. I might watch a spoiler video on YouTube.
Yeah.
But
maybe Dumb Guys will do a spoiler video on that, so you can watch it.
Yeah.
So.
That would be kind of. How would that even work?
I
I'll
don't know.
spoil it for myself.
You'd have to spoil it for yourself. You'd have to like go through a time machine or something.
Alright, I might just do that.
Yeah.
Alright. Anything else?
No, I think that's all I have to say about that book. So, you know,
Yeah.
let us know what you think in the comments.
Yeah, and I don't want to say go read it, I want to say, meh.
Maybe.
Okay.
All right.
Man, that was a good episode.
Yeah, and if you like that episode, you should check out some of our other videos because we've done a lot of good ones and we got a lot of good ones coming.
Man, I want to see all of them. I'm going to subscribe.
You're already subscribed.
Oh, that's right.
You
need
should
to
subscribe. Don't forget to comment, like, and share these videos with your friends.
Become our biggest fan. Tell us what you want to be in the videos, and we'll keep making quality content.